I'm Matt Godbolt.
And I'm Ben Rady.
And this is Two's Complement, a programming podcast. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Matt.
I was just looking at our twoscomplement.org thingamajig.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
I always type twoscomplement.org into my browser, and it seems like Chrome these days does the automatically, hey, you probably meant www.that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't do that, like if I use curl or whatever,
right.
I get like nothing. In fact, I think it hangs. Let me just try it now. I know that I was doing that. HTTPS twoscomplement.org.
Yeah, I get a redirect if I use curl.
So I'm literally just using curl HTTPS.
Oh, I'm not doing HTTPS. I'm just doing curl.
Well, everyone does HTTPS these days. All the cool people.
True.
And it's just hanging.
Yes. True. But I'm saying, like, if I just do curl twoscomplement.org, I get a redirect.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
so,
I would expect. I think I would expect HTTPS.
I see. You are being redirected in. I see. Yeah. If I use HTTP,
because there's nothing listening on port 443 for whatever that is, right? Because I think it's
I don't even know how this stuff's done. I know that I check stuff into the GitHub and something AWS.
Magic happens.
Yeah. So should we try and fix that? Is that a thing
we could do? Well, I think we should. I mean, there might be part of that. So like right now, the way this works is I think there's a CloudFront distribution, and then when you check something in, it like builds the podcast XML. The RSS feed, basically.
The RSS feed, right.
And then, and the rest of the website, if it has any changes to load, is all static. So there's nothing to build. The only thing that actually gets built is the RSS feed. And then, uploads that to an S3 bucket, and then that CloudFront distribution is backed by the S3 bucket.
Got it.
That CloudFront distribution is backed by the S3 bucket. And then you have to invalidate the CloudFront distribution to basically invalidate all the caches, right?
Right, because we're not doing anything clever with definitely busting URLs and things, and we definitely need essentially index.html to always be just come and get it again. I mean, I guess we could monkey with headers and things. I've done that before, but the simple, straightforward thing to do for a tiny site like ours is to say it's just all invalid. Literally, no one really cares about the caching of this.
Exactly. So I'm trying to so if I do an NS lookup, in a terminal,
I was going to say, where does the DNS actually point at?
Where does DNS actually point at? Or actually, I don't want to do a DNS lookup. I want to use dig, right?
That's what the cool people do.
Yeah.
But I'm still old school, and I end up using NS lookup. But let's learn dig.
Yeah. So dig is giving me an A record.
A?
Yeah.
For twoscomplement.org.
Yeah.
I think there's something funky. I think you can't have CNAMEs for the top level domain, as I recall.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's because there's always a thing. I know my DNS provider had some hacky way of pointing the A record at where you needed it to be always.
Right.
But who's our DNS provider?
So it used to be Hover. And I am pretty sure that I moved it. Let me pull up the DNS or the AWS console here and confirm that my memory is not failing me, because it very much. I think I moved it to
my
Route
memory
53.
is still been for
and I have a memory of doing this because I was like, oh yeah, if we're ever going to get this top level domain to work, Amazon has some cool stuff that will make that work. And I actually reached out to the Hover support folks, and they're like, yeah, we don't do that.
Right. I was using DN Simple, whatever, and they have this fake. They have a name for it. It's a made up type of record that's just it's itself DNS lookup something else, and then keeps changing the A record to point at it, which obviously is not great for all the reasons. But I think Route 53 or whatever it is on Amazon kind of does this out of the box.
Yeah. Now I'm starting to worry that I didn't actually move the domain.
Oh,
hold on a second.
Smelly.
Yeah. What is even? Come on, browser.
What even are a domain?
Hover.
We just don't know.
.com.
What are birds?
What? I mean, are they real? I don't think they're real.
I don't know. Well, there's two. Yeah, that's true. Actually, there's two memes associated with the birds, isn't there? There's obviously the "Are birds real?" thing, where someone said they're all spy drones, and then obviously the thing that you and I shared a joke about is look around you.
Yes.
What are birds? We just don't know. One might as well ask, what are birds?
Status redemption. What does that even mean? Minimum viable. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, two's complement. So that is almost certainly what that A record is. Is Hover's attempt to redirect you, and that's why HTTP works, but HTTPS does not, because Hover doesn't have any concept of the SSL cert.
So the A record for twoscomplement.org, that is the prefixed twoscomplement.org, is pointing at Hover's own magic to do this. Is that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and obviously they don't have our SSL cert, so they couldn't be able to serve up a redirect on port 443.
Exactly. Yep.
So, could we at least set up the CNAME in Route 53, like now, and then test it with Dig that it would work, and then then kick off the process of like moving the main record, and then we could at least go through that. So you can
yeah.
How do you do this in the console, or do you Terraform for this kind of stuff?
I mean, generally I Terraform, but I don't actually remember what I did for Two's complement.
Fair enough.
I don't think I did set up any I mean, it would be really cool. I would love to add that Terraform into the CI build that does the deployment and everything, right? Because you can do
just like our day job,
right? Like you just have it do a Terraform apply, and then do the deployment, and then it's like, oh, I want to change the CNAME records or something. Like that's a commit along with anything else that just gets applied automatically. And
just like when we publish an episode, we just check in an updated thing to our like Python program that generates the XML, and that's it. So yeah, it would be cool if it did that. Although also in fairness, right now we don't have very many things to worry about. We've got a CloudFront distribution, we've got an S3 bucket, and we've got we would have the DNS. I don't know if there's anything else in there. So I don't mind starting out by like just doing this manually and then importing it at a later date just to see if we can get it working. Unless you feel like we should spend 10-15 minutes hacking up a Terraform thing.
It's just
there's a lot of credential nonsense to worry about and CI and all that.
I agree with you, and the thing that pains me is that I did this before once for a bunch of my domains, and I have zero memory of how I did it, which means I'm going to have to learn it all over again because I didn't encode it into anything that is automated. So
it embarrasses me to say that, like, I know that I have my hobby project, but I have enough other hobby projects that I have a Godbolt Terraform, like personal Terraform setup that we might want to crib from. So if you go to my GitHub, let's just have a quick look.
Oh, is it public?
It is, yes. And after me carefully going, I'm so sure there isn't anything in here that that needs to be done. It doesn't auto apply because I do it manually because I know when I made a change. But github.com Matt Godbolt /Godbolt -Terraform. Sorry for all the clicking noises. Yeah, there it is. And so in here is like Owlet. Oh, that's a deploy. That's the deployment thing. I'm wondering do I have in here? I don't know if I do have a doodad. ACM certificates, JSB.
What's the name of this repo?
Has resources and crap in it. It's got whatever. I don't think this has root doodad because it kind of like JSB lives on bbc.godbolt.org and godbolt.org has long been adopted as Compiler Explorer's real domain, so it lives there really. Yeah, I don't think this has any Route 53 stuff in it or blog. Aha! Hang on a second. So there's Xania.org.
Something like this, but I don't know if it's actually relevant to
CloudFront distribution has got all the crap for Xania.org, which is my blog. I don't know that this has got the DNS for it though, which surprises me a little bit, and embarrasses me also because there I am touting like, hey, well, I did it. You're like, no, you didn't.
I've got something for this for an old version. I have a recipe tracking website that I made called Tasty Penny, which is
again with the hobby project side project things, right?
And I had a more sophisticated version of Tasty Penny that I was working on for a while. That had like an actual app server instead of just being a bunch of static content. And I still have the Terraform for that, and that used Route 53.
So do you want to just do some copy pasta and see if it looks near enough like we could just paste it as a subdir into the TWAS?
Oh, you know what? I think I actually have a better one. Let me read this through this one. So Earth is Dead. You know, my board game.
Oh! I thought it was a statement of fact.
Yes, no, I clicked on the wrong button and now I've deleted the Earth.
Oh, damn it!
Well, it was nice knowing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my board game. So earthisdead.com. I have something for that. I don't know if I have an SSL cert.
Hey, that's cool. Ready, set, go.
Oh. Yeah, that was a friend of mine came up with that name. I was like, that's a good name.
It is.
What is this?
How do the other I mean, actually, the same thing could be asked of me, right? Like, how do the other raidies feel about you, like, being a raidie that's kind of stolen the name for your own?
Oh, well, you know, my last name is kind of made up anyway. My dad invented it.
Oh, so. Because most of them aren't, though. You know, most of them are clearly real.
Some of them are.
So, I mean, some of them are like, I think we talked about this before, like Taylor and
Baker,
and Fletcher and Smith and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But you know, ultimately, it's all made up.
Yeah, everything is.
But yours is very specifically made up by like recent history.
Made up.
Was it your grandpa or your dad?
My dad. I mean,
your dad.
He just changed the spelling to be more Americanized. I say it's made up. It's like, you know, he changed it from RADI to RADY.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it's funny because there's this like business school out in San Diego that apparently was paid for or founded or whatever by somebody with coincidentally the same last name. And my brothers and I have got into the habit of collecting the swag from this business school because they have like stickers that say "I love Rady" and it's like all, you know, backpacks and all this other crazy banana stuff.
That's super cool. All right, anyway, sorry,
this is a huge tangent, but so what I'm seeing right now is I don't necessarily have any Terraform that we could drop in that would be exactly what we want. I definitely have a couple of things, and it sounds like you have a couple of things that would be like close. 80%. So maybe we could do it this way. I think so. Backing up a second, I think the big thing is that I have never done the transfer over to Route 53. So if we feel like we can actually set up, because like, okay, so my memory is fuzzy on this, and maybe you remember.
I don't even know if we need to transfer it, right? If your current provider, they let you set the name servers. They don't have to be their own name servers. They can still be the registrar to start with, and all you need to do is edit their name server record to point at the Route 53 route 53 ones. Sorry, this is a terrible word for us to have to keep going back and forth on.
Okay, so let me look at. So right now the name servers for
like
can I see this? ns1.hover.com and ns2.hover.com, and can I see that if I use a dig command?
I think so. I think that's how. You know, it'll take a while to propagate, but we could actually make that change. But we need to go into the Route 53 and at least copy over what you currently have, which we can either do manually or we can Terraform that up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's start with Terraform. I like that idea.
Cool.
I don't even remember. Is the Two's complement
do we have
repo
any Terraform
public or is it
I don't think it's public. I think it's private.
Okay. But you have access to it, right?
I do have access to it.
All right.
And I farted around with making it all use poetry for the Python and all that stuff recently.
Yeah.
And we have assets and conf and tools and,
and
the public directory, ironically, which of course is not actually public in this instance.
Yes.
It will
well,
be
that is
public,
the public part. The public directory is the part of that is actually like visible to the whole internet.
But it's not open to the world because, you know.
Well, it is through the
because
website.
We put stuff in. It is, but yeah, like importantly, it means when we put the reason why I think we shouldn't make it public is because that's where we do put our like episodes before we finished uploading them and fighting around with them and editing them and whatever.
Right.
There's although in fairness, that's the same true on my blog post, but I don't blog quite as often as I used to. Like once a year is now my cadence.
Yeah.
So why don't we make a Terraform directory there and just copy paste in the main.tf and the terraform.tf or whatever.
Yeah.
From some other project, in the way that we do.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I have some makefile magic that I think I can steal to apply this stuff, so we can make sure that the terraform that's checked in is always representative of the real world, right? Like, you never want those things to be able to get out of sync. So
that is true. Do we have pre-commit hooks in? I'm a big fan of pre-commit hooks now, and I use .precommit. Like we use it at work, and it would be cool to make it so that you can't even commit if it says, hey, oh, no, that would be different because we want the CI to apply the Terraform.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice sort of credential management thing where it's like you don't have to have the AWS credentials. All you have to have is access to the repository, and the CI build is what holds the AWS credentials. So I'm not handing out like personal credentials for my personal AWS account to people.
That's for absolutely for certain. I think that's a very, very good thing to consider. But pragmatically, I have found that it's very hard to test the Terraform config without actually applying it, or especially if you want to adopt existing things. So anyway, let's start from just getting it working at all. Even manually, I would say. So let's make a directory or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And let me grab this. Hopefully, I have some makefile magic I can throw into this thing.
Do we need the makefile magic? I mean, it doesn't do much. I mean, Terraform applies what you want to type.
Well, yeah, but like installing Terraform as a tool and knowing what version you've got.
Oh, neat. Yeah, that's better.
I think I have this, and if I don't have this, I'm going to give up on it. But I think I actually just have this handy.
Terraform. I was going to say, yeah. I actually use Aussie for this, which is the thing, as in our company's open source version of Aussie, which has Terraform as an example thing. So that is a possibility, but you've probably got Terraform on your path. Terraform is a bit subtle because you need to have the same version.
And so I have these like Terraform and init targets that
neat.
Install Terraform and initialize the
sounds perfect
deal.
Especially we're both on Linux, so it's not going to cause me no problem. We don't have to worry about but what operating system? And it'll get the right version and all that crap. So
do you have a major allergy to just putting the Terraform file, like a single Terraform file, in the root of the repo because this will only really ever be like a couple of things, or do you want to make a Terraform directory and put?
I would make a Terraform directory because it just because it's one extra command mukdir.
That works for me. All right.
And especially as Terraform is like, it sort of globs the directory it's running in to get all the .tf files. It's like anyway, let's do it now.
No, I'm down with that. Okay.
Sorry.
So I you'll be able to see this in a minute when I commit it, but just to explain
I was going to say, this is...
I'm making
do this through the medium of...
through the medium of sound.
Speakings. Talking.
So I have a Terraform variable, a makefile variable, that is
dollar open squigglies Terraform shout caps, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, we could share screen, but it's more fun to do it this way.
Yes. Okay. So I have that, and that depends on a tools home. Dollar parens curter /.tools. So I have a little dot file directory that holds all of the tool installations.
That's a nice subtle thing that actually curder is the right thing to use in makefiles because I've used pwd so many times or some other thing, and it's like it works by coincidence most of the time, but it's a sharp edge ready to cut your knees off when you do make-c or whatever. I can't even remember what breaks it under, but like now I've just learned.
Yeah, just curter is the right thing.
Cool.
Okay, and then I have a Terraform version variable just to make it specifically called out as like, this is the version we're using.
Works for me,
And then I have, this Terraform variable, which points to the executable. And, because HashiCorp is HashiCorp, all of their tools are super easy to install with just
because they are just a static executable
Yes.
you curl and put somewhere, and then chmod or
It's just
unzip
the
or whatever it
best
is.
thing ever. I just wish
It
everything in
is.
the world
This is.
worked
Yeah,
like
we've talked
that.
about this before as being like a killer feature of Go, for example, which I think they're using.
Yeah.
And for our tool, actually, so we did you see that we open sourced RPy?
No,
RPY,
I think I missed that.
Yeah, so we, it is a read the nearest pyproject.toml, and then there's a little stanza in there that says, no, this is the right Python to use. Like, this is the right thing to do beforehand. So, like, for example, you can put a stanza that says, hey, before you run Python, do make deps in this root directory where you found the Py project. And then effectively it just means like I can go into any project and it's rpy space and then whatever. But anyway, the whole it's a simple but cool tool, but we did it in Rust, and it's relatively straightforward to make that static as well. Relatively straightforward. So that was a nice find recently. So you can just curl rpy down, and also Rizzy, I think, is the other thing we've open source, which is another Rust thing that's similarly. We just want that. Just copy the binary and it works. Feel.
Nice.
And that's all HashiCorp and Go's sort of like pushing us in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good
Is
stuff.
my rambling covered enough while you're frantically tapping away there?
That's good.
You don't have an offensive keyboard, incidentally. I feel like or maybe it's just Google is doing its amazing filtering of like non-sound, non-human sound.
Yeah, when you come back and edit this podcast later, you're going to be like, why is this just 90% typing?
Yeah, right. So we are just agreed that instead of us recording a podcast episode, this is the episode now.
Yes.
I guess so. Hey, everybody, this is our podcast. I guess we kind of started recording, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see if this ever sees the light of day.
Right. We're boring the heck out of people as we like do our debug session, but it's like listening in a pairing session, I guess.
Yeah.
Of a sort.
Okay, so I'm
going to make you write tests for this Terraform.
That would actually be a really interesting exercise, is trying to write tests for Terraform. I've written tests for SQL before. That was a fun project.
Oh my god.
I've written tests for Bash. We should do an episode on
we should
on
do it. Yeah, we talked about that.
Bash,
it's in the list, isn't it, about testing Bash? Although there's a number. Yeah. I'd be interested in the Terraform test type stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely use Terraform validate in some of my pre-commit hooks to make sure that like it's at least syntactically valid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's Terraform format that sort of makes it canonical formatting. Anyway.
Okay, so I think I gotta change something here because I'm running my target and it says nothing to be done. So usually when I troubleshoot
you haven't made it .phony, have you? Or have you made it .phony? Because if you haven't made it .phony, you have a Terraform directory, and that's what it thinks is up to date. It's like, yeah, I got a Terraform directory. You did make Terraform, and it's like, yep, got that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's it, but I did not.
That's caught me out before now, where I've had a directory.
I did not make them. Yes, I mean that's I just like. I'm just gonna do this because there is no. The target I'm trying to run is called infra, and there is no infra directory.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna make it phony. No, that's not it. Yeah,
it's not gonna be that. But like, it was worth checking out. But
Terraform init. I think the problem here is I have like an undefined target. So basically, like Terraform init. Yes, that's totally what it is. So I had a target that I was referencing by a variable name. So it's $parens Terraform init. And the intention of that is it's going to be the directory that Terraform initializes itself into. But I hadn't declared that variable. So I think it was just blank.
Empty.
So it's like, yes. So then make was like, I'm not going to make an empty thing. So it does nothing. But I also need to do curder/Terraform .terraform because we want to put this in a Terraform subdirectory.
I think so, and then we can hide all the squirrel away all the dot files and grab in there
and
as
I think what that also means is that I need to do a CD in my Terraform init target before and because it's make, you can't do that on two separate lines, right?
No, let me just have a look. Does Terraform has a -chdir equals?
Okay.
So you can use that instead. So a bit like make -C or ninja -C, where you're like, hey, I'm running you, but don't run here, run there. It might make more sense to use that. It's
Dash
nicer
chdir.
because it doesn't need to use subcommands.
Do I need to make the directory first?
Sorry?
Do I need to make the directory first?
Oh, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It literally is like, hey, you're going to CD into that directory first. But
Okay.
it means you don't have to do the thing on one line.
Yeah.
Which is essentially a subshell, and make doesn't know it. It just sort of executes it in the whatever the prevailing shell is and says, hey, you do this.
Okay. So yeah.
Which is almost always shirt or bash. But for example, fish doesn't support that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Even though I love it dearly.
Okay. Yes. So I missed a target. No rule to make target source2's complement.tools. So I defined that tools directory, but I never made a target to create it.
To create it.
Yes. So I got to grab that target, which is
what
a very
you're doing
simple
here
target.
is kind of working it backwards from like, I need this thing. So, and then, but you haven't actually told it how to make that thing yet.
Exactly.
The glory of makefiles, right?
Exactly. Okay. So now I have a tools home target, which is just make_p $at. So it's like, just make the thing that you want.
Make the thing that you said I needed to be. Yeah.
Okay. So I ran that and it installed Terraform and I unpacked it to the tools directory. And then it initialized Terraform in an empty directory. So now I would expect to see a Terraform directory, and I do. And inside of that Terraform directory, I would expect to see a .terraform directory, and I don't. Because it says you have no Terraform files.
Yeah, you need to make a main.tf or just
first.
anything in there. Let's just create any old thing.
Yes.
While we're thinking about it, I know there are various lock files and other nonsense, some of which need to be checked in and some of which don't need to be checked in, and I can never remember which ones are which.
I think this project that I have has a gitignore that
has
will
exactly. Thank you. That's what I was asking. Basically, is do you have something we can copy?
Yeah. All right. Let me try this again, and we're gonna see how good this make setup is if it knows to do the right thing, because I've already created some of these directories,
but not
and
all
so
of
it
them,
might do nothing. Infra. All right, Terraform has been successfully initialized. So now if I go into Terraform and I have my main.tf, I still do not have a Terraform directory.
A .terraform directory.
A .terraform directory?
What is the .terraform directory for?
So that is going to be Terraform init. So when I run Terraform init, I'm expecting it to create a .terraform directory.
Has it created it in the root? Did he do the .chdir equals?
No, yeah, I have it. Terraform init is curdir/terraform/.terraform. Am I just not looking at this correctly? Maybe it's like because there's nothing to do, because there's nothing in the main.tf, it just doesn't bother to create it?
Yeah, almost certainly. It doesn't know what versions of anything to pull down, because the main thing it puts in there is all the plugins that are going to be like, here's the AWS provider and here's the whatever provider.
Okay,
so
let's do a very minimal thing in there then.
Yeah. You're going to need to have the Terraform thing, and you need to have the state management.
Yes.
So the thing that says this is where the state lives, which should probably be yet another bucket somewhere, like it always is in my world.
Yeah, definitely the best way to do that is with you store it in a bucket. I have sort of gotten away with not doing that in cases, but that's not the best. All right,
if you're going to have to solve the credentials problem anyway for like me being able to apply this, then
yes. I mean, at this point, I'm just trying to get to something where we can test this intersubjectively, where I'm going to commit this and push it, and then you can pull it down and do the same thing and make sure that I didn't screw anything up.
Has a credentials sort of caveat, for what it's worth. I think I have AWS credentials. I'm going to have to take a look.
Well, if all I'm doing, I mean, we're going to have to solve that problem eventually, but if all I'm doing is just trying to initialize this directory,
then that will be intersubjective.
You can just hopefully just do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, installing the backend, installing provider plugins.
Love it.
Finding HashiCorp AWS versions matching blah, installing AWS matching blah, and now inside of the Terraform directory, I do.
Drum roll.
I have a .terraform directory, and I have that lock file that you were talking about. So let me go take a look at this gitignore and see what I did, at least in here. So in here, I am ignoring a bunch of things. I'm ignoring the .tools directory, which makes sense. I don't want to check in any of these tools.
Although, ironically, we could actually, because we both are on Linux, we could
could,
just check
yeah.
in Terraform.
You could. That would
solve
work.
that whole thing. But you've done a nice thing for downloading it and changing it and upgrading it and all that stuff, so let's keep it.
All right. And then I want to say terraform.tf state. I've got an AWS thing in here. I don't think I need that. Terraform. And then we're not doing anything with Terraform plan. So yeah. So the 3 git ignores I'm adding are the .tools directory, Terraform / do I need that one? I was going to say Terraform / tf state, but I don't actually think I need that yet. So I'm not going to put that in. And then Terraform / .terraform, which will be that Terraform initialized directory. And I think
I'm just looking at my own.
Do it.
Yeah,
I got
the whole .terraform directory is all I've ignored in mine, and there is a .terraform.lock.htl which I've accidentally been checking in, which probably I don't need to. Maybe I have to Google that.
No, I actually think you are supposed to check in the lock file.
Because it's like a lock file for when you do an upgrade. Yeah. Okay, then that's fine. The .terraform.lock.htl is like a stanza that is when it's solved the constraints, you want everyone to be agreeing on what version.
Yes, I have that file locked into checked into my other project, so I think that's actually correct. Okay. So I think I've got to the point now where I can push this.
All right.
And you can give it a try. So let me say skeleton terraform config with make target. With infra make target. And, we can rename this later, but this is what I got right now. Okay. So that's pushed.
All right. Git pull. I see some things. Type make. And there's nothing in the list because you didn't add the help.
No, I didn't.
Bad person.
It's not. It's not cool enough for that list yet.
And I'm going to do make. What should you suggest? Make Terraform.
Make infra.
Make infra.
Yeah, that's like I said. We're going to have to rename that later, and that's probably not even going to be we're going to need like a make plan and a make apply, like Terraform plan, Terraform apply. I think would be good targets, but they're going to have like base things. That sort of maybe did do something?
It archived terraform.zip and inflated it, made a Terraform subdirectory, which I guess we don't need to make it. That maker is probably unnecessary because you've made...
duh! I got the main file in there. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
perfect.
That's the whole point of that. But yeah, so we can get rid of that.
Out.
It says initializing the backend, initializing provider plugins, Terraform has been successfully initialized. Everything, quote, just worked.
Awesome.
You may now begin working with Terraform, it tells me. So now we're inside that Terraform directory. I could do Terraform plan, and it should do absolutely nothing. I know you want to do makefile nonsense, but I'm old school. I'm just going to go in there. No changes. Your infrastructure matches the configuration. That is the no infrastructure correctly matches the no configuration. Hooray!
Cool. All right. I'm going to do a very small commit to remove that unnecessary makedir.
I'll allow it.
But that requires that I spell unnecessary correctly, so I'm just going to say unneeded.
Yeah. That's a pragmatic solution to the problem.
Okay. All right, I'll push that.
Oh, boy, my laptop fan has just kicked on, so when I edit this, I'm going to have a big old hiss in the background.
No.
Sorry, listener.
Okay.
I'm sorry, listener, also that you maybe are expecting a podcast and instead you're hearing this debugging session.
We should just call this episode Yak Shaving. That's what...
Yeah. All right, so...
All right.
The next thing that might be useful to do is either we set up the Terraform state storage...
Mm-hmm.
And then work out credentials, which is a pain because I'll have then, God knows how hard it is to do AWS credentials, especially when we're kind of up against the clock. We've got about like 15 minutes on my calendar before I'm supposed to be doing something else, but I can probably ignore that. Or we just don't worry about the intersubjectivity of the next bit and get the Route 53 stuff done with your own credentials on your machine so that we know that in principle it's going to work and then see where we get out from there.
Yeah, maybe that's a place to start, because I guess if this is going to be like really onerous, there's a chance we might just want to bail on automating this entirely, right? And just be like, you know what, we're just going to do this one in the console because I'm not going to spend 20 hours getting this right.
I don't think it's going to be that bad though. Like, I mean, let me go. So if we go to Compiler Explorer, even let me go to .compiler dev c compiler infra Terraform. So there's a billion T files in here. One of which is there a root53.tf? Yes. Haha. So I have a root 53 we can copy from, and I will send you the link. Oh, and I've just hit my microphone.
Oh, wait a second. Don't we want to do like a Terraform import?
You can, but it doesn't. It just says now I manage that resource.
Oh.
It doesn't. But what I typically do is I import the resource. So you have to make an empty resource, and then you import it, and then you do Terraform plan. It says, oh, I would delete all of these things. You're like, great. Those are the things I'm going to put into the stanza in the TV. So you can definitely do it.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward though. No.
So I hear what you're saying. Like, let's just get the Route 53 stuff in there because it's new, and worry about everything else later.
I think so.
Yes.
We can definitely import the bucket and stuff, and that's a pretty straightforward thing to do. But we're going to need to be able to store the Terraform state first and foremost, and then the Route 53 stuff we can just add and apply, and then you should be able to refresh the console and go, this looks good, and then we should be able to dig at Route 53 or whatever it is and see that they're there, and then maybe that's where we can...
I mean, we could just do local state for now, and then we can move it into a bucket later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how easy moving it is, but
I think
it's fine.
I think it's just... I feel like I've done this once already, but
I mean, it should be straightforward. Like, hang on, let me just see what my own crap is. Main.tf, backend, S3, key, bucket. That's all it is. It's just a backend and then a bucket name, which can be something we'll call like, infra.twoscomplement.org.
Mm-hmm.
Just a region and a key, and then we're done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's in the Terraform stanza.
Yes.
So I'm going to paste this into... Oh my god, I don't even know where to paste it into. Discord?
Yeah, that's probably the best place.
And so that is what I have in the... I mean, obviously, it's open source, so you can grab it. So you already put a provider in there for AWS, have you? Or have you not?
No, that's in there. Although the version that you're using is way newer than the version that I have, so I should
yeah. But I mean, that's unimportant, really.
Well, now is the time to do it. It's not going to get any easier than
grab the latest version. Yeah. And then that is what I have for like the provider block above that. And that's kind of like my main.tf. That says like hey, this is all the versions, this is the whatevers, and this is where I want you to store your state.
Got it.
And I think that's all it took. I think. Now, I think there's something you can do with DynamoDB for locking and all that kind of crap, but I haven't done that.
No, I see what you're saying there. So do you have another piece of Terraform somewhere that's actually creating that bucket?
No. The backend knows how to do that. That's like, otherwise you've got a chicken and egg situation. How do you create the bucket where it's going to store its state before you've stored the state to be able to create the bucket? So
okay.
So I think you can just put anything in there.
All right.
Or in fact, we already have the bucket. Actually, as it happens, we can just use the existing bucket. Although no, we don't want to put the TF stake there because it actually goes to a website. So let's not do that.
Yeah, I can't do that.
So
okay, so bucket
state.twoscomplement.org or can be the name of the bucket. This is cool. If it works.
If it works.
Retrospectively, it'll be cool, but right now it might just be, as you say, another yak.
Okay.
We shaved this yak, and then inside the yak was another yak. It's like Russian yaks.
The stack
Russian
of yaks.
doll yaks. A yak stack.
All right.
Oh boy.
And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to wantonly steal from this example that you have because it's, I think, probably better.
That, my friend, is what it's all about.
Which I've typed enough times to be able to spell correctly. Okay. Okay. All right. So now if I run this, I would almost expect a credential error because I don't think I have any. I tend to not just throw global credentials into like my bash RC or anything like that. And I actually really kind of don't like the fact that the AWS client will discover credentials that you put in your home directory. So I don't really like having a default profile in there.
There is some actually there's some like AWS sudo as in sudo sudo, not sudo as in psuedo, like scripts and things you can get which kind of make it so you can run a shell as this set of credentials, which is kind of a nice way of doing it. Effectively, it's just a canonified way of setting all those horrendous environment variables. But it also, some of them will support the things where you need to log in as yourself and then effectively change role to like developer and there's that kind of stuff. But right now, whatever you want to do, you can export some credential files. I typically do use the horrible global variable pattern, which is nasty, but I have different credentials for different projects, and I specify the credentials with the one environment variable that says, no, these are the ones I mean this time.
Yeah. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't think I've made this makefile quite mature enough to where it will detect changes to the TF and rebuild, which I think I have in another
that's
project.
typically I make those things like if it's a phony target, so it's not that there are changes, it's because like who knows. The thing is that Terraform, there are two sources of changes in Terraform. One is in the .tf file that you edited, and the other one is some clown changed it on the console, and you want to make sure that actually you apply that.
Yeah. Okay, so I need to change.
So don't worry about that for now. We can.
No, I got this. So I'm going to change that info target to. Actually, I'm just going to leave it the way it is, and then I'm going to make the Terraform apply target. Phony. Or probably Terraform plan to start. Target that's going to be phony. Yeah, this is what we want to do. And then this is just going to depend. I am going to get rid of the info target and replace it with the real one.
All right.
But it's plan. That's what I want, is Terraform plan. And then I just want to see the plan, right? Which should be nothing initially. Okay, so then we're going to do that, and then I'm going to use my variable name for the Terraform executable instead of trying to guess what it might be.
Naked Terraform. You're much. See, I'd be in there just typing Terraform and then I'd do the makefile afterwards. This is quite. I'm interested in how your process, how rigorous you're actually saying. No, I never want to know.
Yeah, I kind of like.
Right or wrong.
I don't know. I've just done this enough times where it's like I just really like the result from it, because it's like there's a very high probability that when I get to the end of this, it will actually just work. Whereas if I sort of go back and try to do this after the fact, like because you didn't build it up interactively and you never had a chance to verify each step, because the nature of make is this sort of like, branching tree of dependent tasks. If you haven't actually walked that tree one branch at a time and make sure that each one worked, then you tend to wind up in these situations where it like mostly works except this situation. But anyway, I digress. So if I do make Terraform plan, what the hell does it do? No configuration files. Right, because I didn't use the
-ch.
Yeah.
You can bake that into the Terraform command if you're being really horrible.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
I don't, as in the variable Terraform that's like hey, run the Terraform in the way that I need you to run Terraform, rather than being the executable is Terraform space -ch, which is kind of naughty, but nice.
Okay, so I'm getting backend initialization required. Please run Terraform init. So my guess is that because I've already initialized this once with the wrong backend, it's now complaining.
It needs to be reinitialized.
So I'm going to do the thing
honestly, I've had enough of these problems where this is one of the reasons why I haven't driven a lot of the Terraform by make, because this, like, knowing the subtleties of when you need to do the re-init and is hard. So often you end up with makefiles that always re-init all the time, and then that's painful. It means like the first 25 lines of every time you do a make thing is it reinitializing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely gotten this pretty solid on some of the other projects that I've done, so I'm not worried about that for this. I'm just going to delete the directory and rebuild it. Because
great.
Once you get that backend right, it should be pretty stable. But now I'm getting a different thing, which is unsupported
the .terraform directory, you mean?
core version. Which is why do you... This configuration...
What version of Terraform do you
probably
have?
like an ancient one compared to what you were using. I have it set at 1.0.11.
Let me have a look. I am on 132.
132. Well, I will change...
The latest version is 137, though, so why the hell wouldn't we...
137.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. So now, this is another great exercise.
And here's the funny thing. Like, when you check this in, if I try and test it, I can actually make a .aussie.yaml in that directory to point it at version 137 just for when I'm running in that directory, which is just me saying Aussie's pretty cool, too. Anyway. We're rewriting Aussie in Rust as well for anyone who's actually using it.
Which I really like that idea, by the way.
Anyway, sorry, we're getting all up in the confusion.
Okay, so I ran make Terraform planet, installed the new version of Terraform automatically, which was cool, and now it's saying error configuring S3 backend, no valid credential, which is the error that I expected to see. Awesome.
Hooray.
Okay.
Hooray.
So now I can go and
I wonder, if you can specify where the credentials are expected to be,
yes.
and then you can say, well, and then we can ignore them, and then we can make it so that there's a makefile target that says, you need to go get the credentials from exogenous place and put them here, and then it'll all be like nice.
Yep.
I can't believe this is a lot of effort for you could just paste it into Discord and I could type it in.
Oh man,
but that's how we go. That's how we roll.
Yeah. No, I think I might do that. Because I actually have another example of doing that in a different project.
Oh, even better.
Where I say AWS shared credentials file, I think is the name of the environment variable.
Nice.
And then I have a make target that is just that file, and it just prints out like, hey, you need to.
Yeah, I can't make this file because.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to do that.
Do we have Vault? We can make a Vault and then no, we're right. Okay,
oh my God,
we're done here.
The yaks are stacking.
The yaks are stacking up. One
okay.
pass.
Yes. All right. So yeah, I'm going to grab that, and then AWS shared credentials file is that, and then this needs to be exported. And that's why we had that .aws directory in the ignore, because that is where it's storing the credentials. So I will add that again, because I absolutely positively do not want to check these credentials into Git under any circumstances.
I think something will alert you pretty quickly to it, but it's not worth testing it.
Yeah, let's not find out the hard way.
There's a pre-commit hook for this. So if we do set up pre-commit, as in the Python pre-commit thing, one of the hooks is, it has an obvious look for API looking keys and says, no, you probably didn't want to do that, which is nice.
Okay, so then I would assume that I want my Terraform init to depend on this AWS shared credentials file, because otherwise Terraform's not going to be able to do very much for you. And then hopefully if I run this again, I should see something else. What the hell did it just do? Overriding recipe. Oh, did I
done a typo or Braino?
What
you got two recipes with the same name?
Yeah, I think that's what's going on here.
I'm hungry.
Why did I do that? We have this already. This is already in the makefile already.
Oh, get out.
We did this.
I've lost my mouse pointer. There it is.
We totally did this.
I'm sitting funny because I'm trying to keep my mouth near the microphone, but it means that now I'm...
AWS shared credentials file is already in here. We did this already for something else. Okay, awesome. What if I just use that? Yes. You must get credentials and save them here. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, because that's how we tested some of I'm sure.
Yeah.
Config file.
It's like line 29 in the makefile.
I don't have that, which is fine.
How do you not have that?
Make credentials. You must get credentials from Google Drive and save them in blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that.
Look at that. Ben Rady is a clever person, so I'm going to go to Google Drive and go get them right now.
About that. Did I put them there? Maybe I did put them there. I think I put them there.
Anyway, you worry about that. I'm going to get them.
Yeah.
And then we can do an intersubjective test at the end of this all.
I like
and then
this.
Pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, we were cleverer than we thought.
Yeah. I would infer, I have zero memory of anything that I've ever done, but I would infer from this hint that I left my future self that I made some two's complement specific credentials.
There's a credentials directory in the shared G drive where we steal all this stuff.
Look at me.
There it is. AWS December the 14th, 2020 by Ben Rady.
Wonderful.
Esquire.
Wonderful.
I'm going to download those credentials right now.
Yes.
And I'm going to move them into place. Mutter.aws. Wunderbar.
I'm actually going to do that too, because I don't even know that I have a copy of those credentials locally.
Oh, that's not. I just typed VI instead of MV. That is just how stupid I am. Okay, make credentials. Nothing to be done for credentials. Look at that. Okay. How would I test that they work?
Well, what are they used in?
AWS shared credentials file, credentials.
I guess it's an environment variable, so it's going to get used by, like, if you did a deploy, which you maybe don't want to do, but that would be one way to test. I guess you could try to do like an S3LS. On the
but I'd have
bucket?
to hack that in because it would need to set the things
Yeah.
up. Yeah, no worries. Anyway, I'm going to quickly... I will locally hack that just so that I can do it, just to see that we aren't going to fail, while you try and get the next step done.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no, we have a website info. Okay, put bucket, create bucket. Oh, no. I thought we had an LS.
I mean, really, like, the test target
list
should
bucket.
do this.
There we are.
You should put it in the test target.
Make list bucket. And it works. So...
Oh, list bucket. Yeah.
I have,
okay.
yeah, we've done this already.
Wonderful.
It's
all coming back to us now.
Oh,
my
dear
God.
listener, we are not the smartest, it turns out.
Programming is a detective novel where you are both the detective and the murderer.
So very true, my friend. All right, what we got going on now then?
Okay.
You're just about to check in the thing that points the Terraform config at this pre-existing configuration, having made it also Terraform init depend upon the credentials in the makefile.
Mm-hmm. I'm still having trouble. Where is it's two's complement? Is that where the credentials are? Venerating two's complement. I haven't found the credentials yet.
It's in the two's complement drive under credentials. Credentials AWS.
Oh, shit.
I will paste a link to you right now in the chat, which says chat with everyone.
Yes, I found it. I found it.
You found it. All right.
Wonderful. Okay.
I don't even know what that is, credentials, but I'm going to use it now to find all your secret projects.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I had completely lost track of the fact that the two's complement drive was a drive you shared with me. I was looking at my own folders and I couldn't find it.
Oh, yeah. That's me, that is.
Okay, cool. All right, so download it there. And now...
I see. So you were waiting to get your credentials.
Yeah, I just want to check to see if this actually works because I haven't tried it. Make dir AWS and then copy from downloads, credentials to here. And I'm just going to take a look at this thing real quick to make sure that it is the credentials that I expect it to be.
Let me have a look.
Nope, I don't because I put it in the wrong directory.
Can you just read out the secret access key to me?
Yep.
To check?
Yes. It is. No, I'm not going to do that joke. All right.
You're not even going to do
it. All right. Cool. Yes, that looks very reasonable. So now I should be able to do the same thing that you just did and say list bucket.
Make list bucket.
And that worked. Awesome.
Yay.
So now if I do make Terraform plan. Okay, so
now,
if I get Terraform...
These credentials may not have the right permissions to do whatever, but
so when I do this, it says S3 bucket does not exist.
Okay. Maybe we do need to create this, and then maybe permissions things about that for the state.
I mean, it would be very convenient if we could store these things in the same bucket. So one yak that... Oh my god, the yaks. The yak that I would... The programmer in me wants to shave right now is moving the public content into a subkey.
Yeah.
So that we can store other stuff in this bucket safely. But I don't want to do that right now.
Buckets are free. Buckets are absolutely free, and it's much, much safer to have a top-level bucket thing and just say, it can't even be public.
Yeah.
So I have no problems with you going into the console for this one task.
Yep.
If that's what it takes. I'm sorry, I did think it could create them, but maybe...
I mean, maybe there is a way. I would expect it to be able to do it, but maybe not.
So, dear listener as well, if you're not sure what we're talking about here, so Terraform is a way, and I'm going to pad this while Ben fiddles around setting it up, right? Terraform takes a textual description of the infrastructure and assets you would like to exist, and it makes sure that they are created, which is wonderful. It can make EC2 instances. It can make anything Google Cloud, any kind of cloud provider. It can make all the resources that live in there. But it needs some external state because it needs to be able to map something that you locally have called this bucket to the identifier that Amazon calls that bucket, which will be some horrific ARN, some giant long name for it that uniquely identifies the resource in Amazon's world or Google's world or whatever. And so there is a state file which says, this is what the code says it is, and this is what it got created as on the remote end. So that I can, when you then make apply again, it doesn't try and create another bucket. It goes, no, I already have that bucket. And then it can query that bucket and say, does it have the parameters that I expect it to have? And it can make a modification instead. So that's what this state file is. And it has to live outside of, well, it's better if it lives outside of source control, because if you've got multiple people changing it and applying in different locations, then you have this kind of like race condition where until you've checked it in, the state is not valid for the other person.
Perfect.
Have I sufficiently padded to get to this?
Yes, and I realized that I'm going to have to use a slightly different approach for... Okay, right, of course, I have to add access to this bucket. I created the bucket. The backend attempted to initialize, and it got an access error, which makes sense because I haven't actually...
We don't know quite what the credentials... I don't know what you did with these credentials in terms of like the creation.
No,
this is the perennial problem of like, how do you grant the grantor?
Yes. I think I have some tradecraft on this that I can pull into this, but I'm not going to shave that yak right now. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go into this user...
And just say, hey, you can do the thing.
Yeah. Where the hell is this user?
Oh, the I am thing is a pain to...
Duh. I clicked on user groups instead of users. I'm like, where are all my users?
Well, there you are. That'll be why.
No, this is... Yes. Oh, interesting. You want to guess what the name of this user is?
This is fun. Two's compliment would be my guess, but I
incorrect.
Remember,
what is the name of this user?
Is it what is it? Something about argument. We had some other name.
Constant Arguments, which was
Constant Arguments, which was... So anyone who's made it this far into the episode gets a little bonus treat of learning what this podcast might have been called, which was Constant Arguments. How funny.
Oh my God. So funny. Okay. Attached existing policies, and we're gonna go S3. So I'll come back later, and I will create a custom policy that only.
But for now,
yes.
So what Ben is doing is granting the user for which these credentials allows us to log in as, or effectively access Amazon as, it's granting it the rights to a separate bucket which won't be publicly available, unlike the website, so that Ben and I can store this state somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next error. Failed to query available provider packages. Could not retrieve the list of available versions from provider AWS HashiCorp. Locked provider does not match constraint.
Oh, that sounds like another...
So I have reinitialized Terraform, and I'm still getting this error.
If you do Terraform -init-update, I think is the other thing, which allows it to bring things forward.
Okay.
Okay. Give it a go. We're into hand-waving magical voodoo.
Yeah. Init.
I'm trying to do the same.
So -update?
I think so. Upgrade. --upgrade.
Upgrade.
No, that's not right. Oh, no, hang on. Init.
Because I could just blow away the lock file because there's nothing useful in there yet.
That's possible, yeah. Do you want to give that a go?
Yeah,
it is. Terraform init --upgrade will allow it to do that.
Oh, well, if that is what it does, I'd rather use that. So let's try that.
Okay, we'll give it a go. Did it make any difference?
It's working.
Okay.
Installing
so now it'll make the log file better.
Yep, exactly.
But the thing is about that --upgrade is you don't want to check that in as being something because it will just keep pushing everything forward all the time.
Yeah, okay. Good point.
I think. Because it would have updated.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
So we have a new lock file, which I'm assuming contains our information about the bucket. And I'm just going to take a look at that real fast. I guess it's just the registry, AWS Corp registry. What actually contains the information about the bucket? Oh, duh. It's the main, yes, of course. That's what you put in the main.tf file. you put the name of the bucket. Awesome. All right, so I think that actually worked. So I think we're finally at the point now where I can commit this, and you can give it a try.
All right, I am just... which version did you do? 137, I think, of Terraform, right?
137, yeah.
Okay, I am just adding a .aussie.yaml into the two's complement thing so that I will...
Yeah.
Terraform
No, that's cool.
-- version.
Let me make sure I'm not doing
installing Terraform 1.3. Oh, no, wait a second. Sorry, no. It manages Terraform itself, doesn't it? Sorry. No. Yeah, I don't need to do this because you're doing it in the makefile. That's the whole point of it.
Right. I mean...
Though that said, it's convenient to be able to type...
I had kind of assumed that you wanted to just be able to run arbitrary Terraform commands in addition to the intersubjective stuff that lives in the makefile.
All right.
So I have no heartburn at all about putting a Aussie file in there.
Yeah,
but
as well. All right. Right. Have you checked this in?
I'm about to. Adding configuration for
You're spending far too long on the thinking carefully about the checking comment for us. I know it's best practice to have a decent checking comment, and you very rarely
pushed.
Okay.
Give that a
so
give
I
that
just
a
push
spin.
the Aussie YAML as well.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to do make Terraform plan. It's inflating a new version of Terraform. It's initializing the provider plugins. It says it's reusing previous versions of some things, but installing some newer things of other things. And your infrastructure matches the configuration.
Yay!
Awesome!
We accomplished nothing.
We've successfully done nothing. But it does mean that we should now be able to literally, quote, just type a tiny bit, make a root53.tf or something in that directory.
Yep.
I'm going to try that right now.
Okay. I think I actually need to bounce here in a couple of minutes, but I want to see what you do. Do your thing, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay, I'm literally going to copy infra from Compiler Explorer, Terraform, root53.tf .tf into the Terraform directory, and then I'm going to vi it, and I'm going to destroy everything that's in it other than module zone ID. No, we have to get zone IDs and other things.
Plus, the user doesn't have permissions to do any of this stuff anyway. So
we are done for now. I think. Well, we have successfully done nothing. We did not solve the original problem in any meaningful way. We haven't even solved the simplified version of the problem, where it's like we're not going to get it to resolve. First of all, we're just going to set up AWS so it's ready to resolve. But we have got a really shiny little place to put that change when we get it.
Yep.
So
cool.
It could be worse. So yeah, all right. Then I think we should quit while we're not behind any further.
Right, before we create more work for us to do.
Right. But just to summarize, we have a place to hang future infrastructural changes that should be straightforward. We've got to sort out some permissioning problems with the user so we can create a Root 53 thing. We're going to have to actually make a Root 53 zone, which should be pretty straightforward. I have got the Compiler Explorer stuff is in a module because I have multiple domains, and so I set them all up the same with a module, which is cool stuff, but unnecessarily complicated for what we need. Then we can, with a zone, which will be the two'scomplement.org, we can add some records, one of which will be, this is an alias record, I think is what they call it, to the CloudFront thing, which we can also bring in, and then we can just actually point them to each other and Terraform import it, and then it's like, hey, I mean that CloudFront ID, I don't even need to know what it is. It's just the one that's defined and declared over here. And then once that's all applied and affixed, we can change your DNS at your current provider to say the name servers are Amazon's one, and it will just work.
Yes.
And then finally, I can curl HTTPS two'scomplement.org or discover that the certificate doesn't work for that. All right, friend.
Well, this was a fun adventure.
This was an adventure, and this will be a fun one to edit. I think this one will be the least edited ever. So, and it'll just be as it came out. So, apologies to our listener for the lack of of us sounding more intelligent than we are, which is normally how I try to edit it.
Perfect. I love it.
All right. Cool. All right. Until next time, my friends.
Until next time.
You've been listening to Two's Complement, a programming podcast by Ben Rady and Matt Godbolt. Find the show transcript and notes at www.two'scomplement.org. Contact us on Mastodon. We are at two'scomplement@hachyderm.io. Our theme music is by Inverse Phase. Find out more at inversephase.com.